Today we are going to discuss listening skills. We're going to discuss how listening is part of communicating, why it is important to listen to other people's opinions, how listening to someone else can help them through a difficult time, and what are some ways that you can show the other person that you're actually listening to them. Communication has three parts: the speaker, the message, and the listener. So today we're focusing on the listener. Some people just naturally are better listeners than others, but it is a skill that by being aware of, you can become a better listener. And sometimes we listen better in certain circumstances than we do in other circumstances or to certain people. So sometimes we need to recognize this and work on our skills in those situations that we're not very good listeners. But listening is very much a key to effective communication. If you've ever been speaking to someone and they're watching something on television and you realize you've just been talking for the last 5 minutes and they have not heard a word you said, then you understand how important it is for the other person to listen to you. And, you may be hearing the other person's opinions. You may be listening to someone who's having problems. And sometimes it's just really important that you spend that time communicating. When we listen to other people's opinions, it's kind of, you think, well, how is that different than listening in general? But I think it's something that's important to learn to do. Some people don't think it's important. They know what their opinion is, so why should they listen to anyone else? You need to think about what is the goal, though, when you're listening to someone who has a different opinion maybe than you do. Is this a debate where someone's going to be the winner or the loser, or is this a sharing of ideas? So are you out to change the other person's mind or just talk with them? When you take the time to listen to another person's opinion, it shows you acknowledge them as an important person, so it helps build their self-esteem. And it also gives you the opportunity to confidently express your own opinions back. Having this give and take is part of becoming a mature person, that you can share this kind of discussion without it, leading to an argument. And so, these conversations may end up where no one changes their mind. You might learn something, though. You might, maybe they grew up in a different religious situation than you did. And so they have a different opinion than you do based on their religious upbringing. But by listening to them, you learn about, why they believe the way they do, what influence there was. And so you learn more about their upbringing. It's also important to learn to agree to disagree. So there are times when you simply are not going to change. You're not going to change your opinion, and you need to respect the fact that the other person you're talking to isn't going to change their opinion. And learning to be more tolerant of these other people and accepting this will make the world in general a more peaceful place if we're more tolerant and accepting of people who are, have different opinions. But sometimes this can literally come home to you. Personally, I have some siblings who we have very different political opinions, and we've worked it to the point where, for the most part, we agree that we disagree, and we know it's better to not discuss it. And so we know enough about the other person's opinions that we can respect them, and we've agreed to disagree, and we can get together at family gatherings and everything's good as long as we just stay away from those topics. And so sometimes that, again, is, rather than tear the family apart, it's better to learn to do this. But there are times when someone has a different opinion from you and you're working together towards a decision, towards something where a decision has to be made. Something has to be accomplished and you have different opinions. In this situation, you can't just agree to disagree, because you're in a position to make a decision that needs to be made. And in that situation, compromise is what usually has to come about. This person gives a little bit, you give a little bit, you meet somewhere in the middle, and it can come to an agreement that you can, neither one's 100% happy with, but you can both live with. And, that is a very important skill to learn, and very important for a peaceful society, is compromise. Another thing that frequently one ends up doing when you listen is you may end up in a situation where you're listening to a friend or a family member talk about something where they're having a difficult problem. Something bad has happened to them, or maybe someone's upset them, they've lost a job, something bad, and they really need to talk to you. And this is a situation where it's so important that you really listen to them. Sometimes it's just important that they can express their feelings and that someone listens to them. You may not have any answers for them, but them just being able to talk with you and share it with you can help them. It helps them in a couple ways. You make them feel important, that you are willing to listen to them. And so that helps increase their self-esteem, which when they're having a difficult time may not be the best. So that can help them. And by listening to them, maybe that helps them work through their problem, or maybe you do have an idea that will help them, and it can help them deal better with their problem. And it is true that just expressing yourself, getting it off your chest, helps people. And I think that in this easy day of social media and everyone having their phones immediately available to them, we need to keep this in mind, that if you're upset about something, you're having a problem, and you need to get something off your chest, it's better to do it by speaking with a friend than posting it out there for all the world to say, because you may get it off your chest, but then you may think, ooh, I really kind of wish I hadn't done that. So that's something to think about. It's too easy to say things that we may regret saying later. Some things to do and not do while listening. There's such a thing called active listening, and sometimes this has kind of gotten a little bit of people tend to do the same things, and so it's gotten kind of old. But some of this stuff is just common sense, respectful things. Face the speaker. Maintain eye contact as much as possible. Nod your head when it shows, it may show that you're agreeing with them, or it may show simply that you're hearing them, that you're actively listening. When you respond back to them, paraphrase what they have to say by saying, don't just mimic them back and quote them back, but try to hear what they have to say and say it back to them in a different way. And this shows, them that you understood them, or maybe that you didn't understand them and it needs to be clarified better. Don't interrupt or change the subject. If they have something important to say, show them the respect. Don't look at your watch or your phone like you've got something better to do and you're, anxious to leave, so you wish they would hurry up and finish. And don't pay more attention to your phone or the tablet or the TV. If you're actively listening to someone, listen to them. Don't be thinking of, what else you'd rather be doing. And sometimes also in conversations, people get so busy thinking about what they're going to say next, whether it's an argument, and so they're not really listening to the other person's side. They're busy thinking about their next argument that they're going to say, or maybe you're just joking around and you're, busy thinking about, well, what's the next funny thing that you're going to say? And so you're not really, appreciating what your friends are saying. So pay attention to the other person, show them that respect. And so those are things that will help you be a better listener, and listening is a very important part of having successful relationships. Thank you.